Nigeria, a country that never fails to amaze me. Not because of progress, not because of greatness, but because of how consistently it recycles the same disappointment, the same faces, the same voices, the same promises, wearing different party colors, but playing the same old game. They call themselves leaders, but who exactly are they leading? Because it certainly doesn't feel like they are leading the people. This nation is bleeding. Citizens are crushed, devastated, living life hour by hour, not even sure what the next 2 hours will bring. In Nigeria, politics is not service, it's strategy, it's interest, it's agenda, it's calculation. And the painful truth is this: those interests are rarely about you. They're about power. They're about control. They're about personal gain. Some of those agendas? Selfish, greedy, even destructive. And the scariest part? They don't care who gets hurt in the process, as long as their mission is accomplished. So they align with falsehood, even when they know the truth. Even when the truth is staring them in the face. Even when the truth is written all over their conscience. They will still deny it. They will still twist it. They will still manipulate it. And that brings me to something that hurts even more. The hope we had. The expectation. The belief that maybe, just maybe, this time it would be different. The ADC, a party many Nigerians began to see as a fresh start, a possible rescue, a Moses in a political wilderness. People believed, people hoped, people invested their emotions. But now, we are starting to see familiar patterns. The same political calculations, the same quiet negotiations, the same decisions that don't seem to reflect the cries of the people. And you start to wonder, is this really about Nigeria? Or is it just another arrangement of interests behind closed doors? Because when decisions are made that clearly don't align with the suffering of ordinary Nigerians, you begin to question everything. How do you stand under the bright light of the sun, look at something clearly white, and boldly call it black? How? Is it ignorance, or is it deliberate? Because at this point, it no longer looks like a mistake. It looks like a choice, a conscious decision to ignore reality, to ignore the people, to ignore the truth. And that is where the real danger lies. Because when people lose trust, completely lose trust, even genuine change becomes impossible to recognize. Everything starts to feel like deception. Every move feels like manipulation. Yes, why are we saying this? This brings us to the dangerous plot to sideline Peter Obi as the presidential candidate for ADC, a decision that the consequences could be politically catastrophic and spells doom for ADC. The strategic mistake that spells doom for ADC. How ADC choosing Atiku over Peter Obi could collapse its 2027 chances. A critical moment for ADC. The African Democratic Congress, currently positioning itself as Nigeria's major opposition platform ahead of the 2027 elections, stands at a defining crossroads. The party emerged as a coalition vehicle bringing together powerful opposition figures like Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi to challenge the dominance of the ruling APC. However, internal tensions already exist over who should lead the ticket, particularly between Atiku and Obi supporters. If the ADC ultimately settles for Atiku Abubakar as its consensus candidate instead of Peter Obi, the consequences could be politically catastrophic. This decision wouldn't just be about choosing a candidate, it would fundamentally shape voter perception, coalition unity, youth engagement, and ultimately determine whether ADC stands any realistic chance against Bola Tinubu in 2027. Loss of the obedient movement, ADC's biggest electoral asset, gone. One of the most devastating consequences would be the collapse of mass grassroots enthusiasm. Peter Obi commands one of the most energetic political followings in modern Nigerian history, the Obedient movement. This base is youth-driven, digitally mobilized, ideologically motivated, spread across regions and religions. There are already strong indications that Obi supporters are unwilling to back any arrangement where he is not the presidential candidate. Many have openly rejected the idea of him playing second fiddle. Implication: millions of committed voters may withdraw completely from ADC. Voter turnout among young Nigerians would drop significantly. The emotional energy that fuels electoral upsets would disappear. Without Obi, ADC loses not just a candidate, but a movement. The recycled politician problem. Atiku Abubakar is one of Nigeria's most experienced politicians, having contested multiple presidential elections, 2019, 2023, etc. While this gives him structure and name recognition, it also creates a damaging perception problem. Many Nigerians, especially younger voters, see Atiku as part of the old political elite, a symbol of recycled leadership, a continuation of the status quo. Even respected political voices have argued that Atiku stepping aside could signal a new political culture rather than repeating familiar patterns. Implication: ADC would lose its change narrative. Tinubu, also an establishment figure, would face no clear ideological contrast. Voters seeking transformation may disengage or fragment. In a country where frustration with old leadership is high, this perception alone could cost millions of votes. Fragmentation of the opposition coalition. The ADC coalition is built on a fragile alliance of diverse political interests. Analysts already stress that only a united opposition can defeat the ruling APC. Choosing Atiku over Obi risks splitting the coalition into factions, driving Obi supporters away, creating parallel opposition movements. The ADC itself has acknowledged concerns about the Atiku-Obi relationship and its implications for 2027. Implication: instead of one strong opposition, Nigeria could see multiple weakened camps. Tinubu benefits from vote splitting just like in 2023. ADC loses its biggest strategic advantage, unity. Regional imbalance and electoral maths failure. Nigeria's elections are heavily influenced by regional voting blocs. Atiku traditionally dominates in the north. Obi has overwhelming appeal in the southeast and urban youth nationwide. A balanced ticket is critical. If Atiku leads, northern votes may be strong but not enough to win nationally. Southeast turnout could collapse. Southern urban voters may shift or abstain. Implication: ADC would struggle to meet the 25% constitutional spread requirement and the broad national acceptance needed to defeat APC. Instead of expanding reach, the party becomes regionally predictable and weaker. Loss of youth and first-time voters. Nigeria's youth population is the largest voting bloc and the most volatile. Peter Obi's candidacy uniquely activates first-time voters, non-traditional political participants, educated urban Nigerians. Atiku, by contrast, does not inspire the same emotional connection among young voters. Implication: youth voter enthusiasm collapses. Social media dominance shifts away from ADC. Campaign momentum weakens drastically. In modern elections, enthusiasm equals turnout, and turnout determines victory. Weakened campaign energy and narrative. Successful campaigns rely on a powerful story. Peter Obi represents change, accountability, simplicity, and prudence. Atiku represents experience, establishment politics, political continuity. While experience is valuable, it lacks the emotional storytelling power needed to defeat an incumbent like Tinubu, who is a master strategist and political operator. Implication: ADC's campaign risks becoming less inspiring, less viral, and less mobilizing. And in a media-driven election, that is fatal. Internal party crisis and possible defections. Choosing Atiku could trigger internal rebellion within ADC, defections by Obi-aligned politicians, breakdown of party cohesion. A divided party cannot defeat a well-organized ruling party. 9. Tinubu's advantage, a divided and confused opposition. President Bola Tinubu is widely regarded as a highly strategic political operator with deep control of party machinery and alliances. If ADC chooses Atiku and triggers division, APC benefits from opposition disunity. Tinubu retains incumbency advantage. Electoral competition becomes less threatening. Implication: ADC effectively hands Tinubu a smoother path to re-election, a fragmented opposition landscape, reduced electoral pressure. 10. Perception of poor strategic judgment. Perhaps the most damaging consequence is symbolic. If ADC overlooks Peter Obi, arguably the most popular and momentum-driven opposition figure, it signals poor political calculation, disconnect from voter sentiment, elite-driven decision-making. Implication: voters may conclude, if this party cannot make the right internal decision, how can it govern Nigeria? That perception alone can destroy credibility. Final verdict: a decision that could cost ADC everything. Choosing Atiku Abubakar over Peter Obi may appear logical from an experience and structure standpoint, but politically it could be disastrous. The likely outcome: loss of mass support, collapse of youth engagement, fragmentation of opposition, weak national spread, reduced voter enthusiasm, strategic advantage handed to Tinubu. In simple terms, ADC would move from being a serious threat to just another opposition party. Conclusion: for ADC to stand any real chance in 2027, it must prioritize unity, electability, public sentiment, and generational change. Ignoring these factors, especially by sidelining Peter Obi, could utterly destroy the party's chances of defeating Bola Ahmed Tinubu. In politics, perception, momentum, and unity win elections. And in this scenario, ADC risks losing all three.